Tav X Hebrews, purity and becoming one. Hit the like button on your way in the door. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. I usually don't go live on Sundays. This is not going to be a long live. I'm just popping in. I wanted to ask y'all a question. And if everybody who watches this video, whether you're watching on the live or you're watching on the playback, I want to know what you think. Is the first werewolf in the Bible? That's the question that I'm asking anybody who watches this live, anybody who watches this on the playback. I'm not going to keep you too long. This is definitely going to be one of the shorter lives for sure. I wasn't even planning on doing this. I want you to hit that like button as you enter the door. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Consider this video a audio only recording. Consider this video a audio only recording. And hit the like button if you haven't already. I am your brother, Mr. Real Talk, and this is your go-to YouTube channel for brotherhood, sisterhood, and an attempt at righteousness. I want you to think about some things. I want you to try to think and remember to a time on planet Earth where it didn't look anything like what you know it to look now. In the ancient days, people were much more aware of reality. They knew that there were giants in the earth. They knew it was Nephilim in the earth. They knew that it was things walking around planet Earth that look human, but are not. And there are things that are in between. Family, I say all the time, the majority of people walking this earth have absolutely no idea what kind of earth that you live on or in. Everybody has had their thoughts and their feelings shaped and molded by the Pope. If you have anything to do with any religion, and I mean all of them, doesn't matter what your religion is. If you are involved with any kind of religion out here, You have had your thoughts influenced tremendously by the Pope. And because of that, that's the reason why nobody on planet Earth knows exactly what kind of world we live in or on. You let the Pope tell you, don't read this, don't read that. You let your pastors and your elders and your bishops and your teachers tell you, don't read this, don't read that. And they got it from the Pope, even though they might not know it or understand it. Everything that you get, that you think you know about who the world calls God, you got that stuff from a Pope. Pope, Christian, Messianic, it's all the same thing. It's all the same teachings. And because of those teachings, you have been dumbed down. You've been made to be so naive. Many of you, you think because somebody looks human that they are. You're afraid to go down the rabbit hole, and I get it. Even though there are scriptures in the Old Testament that let you know what I'm saying is not just some figment of my imagination. Let's take this for example. I did a video about this maybe a little more than a week ago. Daniel chapter 2, verse 43. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. That verse is so much more deeper than what many of us think. And the reasons why we can't see just how deep that verse goes. See, many of you will try to say, oh, I'm reaching, I'm stretching, I'm making up my own doctrine. That's what many of you will say, because you are too afraid to take a long, hard look at that. And every time you read anything in the Bible, you are viewing it through the Pope's eyes. You're viewing it through the eyes of someone who says, don't read this, don't read that. Believe what I tell you to believe and agree with everything that I say. So when I tell you there's no such thing as giants in the earth, there's no such thing. When I tell you that the book of Enoch is not canonized, not to read it, you say, yes, Master. When I tell you that everybody that walks around the earth who looks human, they are human. There's no such thing as hybrid humans. There's no such thing as Nephilim. There's no such thing as giant. There's no such thing as monsters. You believe it because you believe and accept the teachings of the Pope. If you're involved with any religion, I don't care whether it's a Muslim religion, Islamic, Christian, Catholic, all of it's the same. Okay? You say, don't read this, don't read that. You say, hey, if somebody looks human, that means they are human. You say, there's no such thing as giants and Nephilim. There's no such thing as non-earthly beings coming and breeding with earthly women. There's no such thing as that. Why? Because the Pope said so. And most of you are perfectly okay with accepting that narrative because you're afraid and you're docile and you're very naive. So you're never going to know what kind of world that you live on. The people on this channel, many of us, we're the exact opposite. We're not naive. We're not afraid to learn, and we don't give a damn about the church's teaching or the Pope or any of the religions. It's all garbage. Okay? And it's because we've broken away from that same garbage that we are able to see things much more clear in that. We don't drink blood of any kind, including spiritual blood, like most of you vampires out there. You Christians, a bunch of vampires and cannibals is what you are. Lawless, law-breaking Christians and Catholics. Vampires, lichens, gargoyles, okay? Any kind of bloodshed and blood sacrifice of any sort for any kind of spiritual reasons, you're a gargoyle, okay? Whether you know it or not, I'm just leveling with you. You're a vampire, a cannibal, a gargoyle, a warlock, a witch, all of those things that you think you're not. That's exactly what you are. And it's because of your blood drunkenness, because many of you are afraid of truth. The only kind of so-called truth many of you want is the kind that the Pope said is okay. The Pope said, hey, only read 66 books because I say so. And many of you, you have no problem going along with that, even though you're Hebrew Israelites, according to many of your own words. You're Hebrew Israelites, so tell me why you are only agreeing to read the books that the Pope said is okay. Make that make some kind of sense. You can't, because it doesn't make sense. Hey, Ak, don't read the book of Enoch, Ak. It's not sanctioned, Ak. It's not of the Most High. That's the same thing that the Catholic Pope said. That's the same thing that the bloodthirsty Christians say. Hey, don't read Second Esdras, Ak. Don't read the book of Baruch, Ak. Don't read Jasher and Jubilees, Ak. Even though the Old Testament and the Tanakh talks about the book of Jasher. But no, don't read that, Ak, because the Pope said not to. The Pope said there's no such thing as a werewolf, Ak. The Pope told me to drink somebody's blood and to eat somebody's body, Ak. That's why I'm a messianic, Ak. Ak, what are you doing reading the book of Jasher, Ak? That's not canonized, Ak. It's wicked, Ak. Because the Pope said so. So I know it's true, Ak. There's no such thing as a shapeshifter, Ak. The Pope said so. The book of Daniel, chapter 2, verse 43. Listen to these words if you dare, and get the Pope out of your ear. That means the Catholics, the Christians, the Messianic. Get them out of your ear and listen to what Daniel said. I think Daniel knows more than me. He knows more than you, and he knows more than the Pope. Let's see what Daniel said. Daniel chapter 2, verse 43, if you can hear it. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. Do you hear the verbiage in that, Hebrew? That verbiage is a clear and strong suggestion that whatever this is not from the seed of men. That's why they're mingling themselves with the seed of men. If they were the seed of men, this verbiage would not be like this. This clearly sounds like an alien or a foreign deity. Whatever this is, it ain't a human being. Listen to the verbiage. Get the Pope out of your ear. Take the blood-soaked glasses off that you're wearing, Hebrew. Stop being a gargoyle, a werewolf, and a cannibal, and a Nephilim, and actually listen to the words that are coming from the Most High. If you dare, if you can, clean those blood-soaked eardrums of yours out. Again, this is how you perform an exorcism on a blood-soaked Negro. Your eardrums are filled with blood. Get the Catholic priest out of your ear. Get the Messianic and the Christian pastors out of your ear. Get IUIC, WFI, HOI. Get those blood-soaked Negroes out of your ear. And listen to a man of the Most High, if you will, Daniel. Daniel is a man of the Most High. Daniel didn't believe in drinking blood or eating blood of any kind. Not like IUIC. Okay? Listen good. Daniel chapter 2, verse 43. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. Who is the they? Clearly, these are not the seed of men. If it was, it would say the seed of men would mingle themselves with the seed of men. That ain't what it said, is it? It said, and they, clearly making a distinction from they and the seed of men, Whoever the they is, it ain't human beings. They, which is something separate from the seed of men, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. If you can't see that, it is because the Most High God is not allowing you to see. And I'm probably sure, more than likely, it's a good chance you're still drinking blood and doing communion. And as long as you're doing that, you are wicked. And things are going to be held back from you. Okay? Now, if you are somebody who serves the Most High and Him only, that means you don't drink blood or eat blood of any kind, including the blood of an abomination named Christ. You don't engage in that because you know that that's witchcraft and sorcery. So you're not going to do that. And you have a greater chance of having your sight open and being able to see this. I know you heard this verse before. All of us have. But we've been taught to look at it with blood-soaked, Pope-inspired glasses. That's why you just gloss right over it to this day. It said, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. That's a very strong and clear suggestion that whoever the they is are not a part of the human gene pool. That's why it said they shall mingle themselves, meaning they're going to mix themselves with the seed of men. They're going to mix themselves with human beings and create other things that are not human. Kind of like that thing I saw last summer in the gas station. That was not a human. Human beings don't look like that. What I saw was something demonic and unholy, and I caught him in the middle of a transformation. That's what I saw. And every time I read this Daniel chapter 2 verse 43, it becomes more clear and clear what that was I saw. It becomes more clear and clear what we all been glossing over. And right now we got 3 people in here. We have 0 likes. We should have 3 people liking this video right now if you're in here watching. And there's only a handful of reasons why you'll be in here watching and won't hit the like button. One of them is because maybe you are not human. I know that y'all are out there. Maybe that you are one of these things that mingled themselves with the children of men. And maybe you don't like the fact that I'm shining the light on that. Or maybe you're one of the disgruntled Hebrews who came on here who got all upset because we recognize righteous divination in the scriptures. Or maybe you're a disgruntled Hebrew who's upset because some of us understand that the lights in the heavens, the star, the moon, the sun, they are used for signs, seasons, and wonders. There's many reasons why you will be over here watching, but you won't hit this like button. All of them, to me, I really don't care which one it is. It just lets me know that there are some people and there are some other things as well who are not human beings. But you are obsessed with my channel and channels like it. So if you want to sit and watch, go right ahead. Just know that I know that things are not always what they seem. I know who some of you are out there, and you're not human. And a non-human being does not deserve love and compassion. You ain't gonna get none from me. I tell you that. You get 0 love from me, 0 compassion from me. Many of my brothers and sisters are still fastly asleep, so that you may be able to get some love and compassion from them. I'm telling you, I notice some of you people out there. I take that back. You're not people. You're whatever these things are. They shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. I know some of you niggas out there not human. And I saw one of you last summer at the gas station. I caught you in the middle of a transformation. And like I said, that's why we got 3 people watching. Then we got 1 person who hit the like button. But many people these days, they're not feeling this channel because we recognize righteous divination and we called it out. We recognize that a lot of these immigrants in this country are not our people. They're black Gentiles and white Gentiles. We call that out. We recognize that the sun, the moon, the stars, and the sky are for signs and seasons. We recognize that. So because we won't willfully turn a blind eye to lots of things, a lot of people have decided to forsake the channel, forsake the brotherhood and sisterhood. But you still come over here and watch. You just don't like the video. But you still here. I know you're here. I can feel you. Okay. Shout out to SP. What's going on, Sister SP? SP says, Shalom, family. Heart emoji. Always good to see you, SP. Hope you're having a wonderful day, a wonderful morning. Hope all is well with you, beloved. And SP, you've been around on this channel for a while. I'm sure you've seen some crazy things take place on this channel. You've seen some people come and go on this channel. You've seen some people who they don't agree with everything that you and I or other people believe, which is okay. We understand that. We understand that you're not going to agree with everything. None of us are going to agree with everything 100% that the other person agrees with. And that's in the scripture. But somehow when disagreements come out, a lot of our brothers and sisters, they choose to forget that part. The scripture said the watchmen will sing together. They're going to lift up their voices because they will all see eye to eye. We all going to see eye to eye when Yahweh brings again Zion. Not before. But many of our brothers and sisters, they say, no, we got to see eye to eye on everything right now. And if we don't, we ain't talking to you no more. We've had a lot of brothers and sisters take that route. And you know what? And it's sad that you guys would behave like that. It really is. It really is. You would choose to abandon the brotherhood and the sisterhood because I don't agree with everything she says. I don't agree with everything he says. So you know what? I'm not talking to them anymore. That's sad. It's sad that Israelites actually behave like that, but they do. We've been watching it for more than a year now. SP says, truth has never kept a heavy crowd. That's right. It's always been a remnant. And a remnant is just a little bit of leftovers. And that's what we're trying to be. And that's why on this channel, we are not going to fall out with brothers and sisters because we don't agree with everything they say or we don't agree with everything they believe. Because we remember what Isaiah 52 and 8 says. We remember what Isaiah 52 and 8 says. Matter of fact, I'm going to get it right now. For all of you Hebrew brothers and sisters out there who turn your back on the family. That's what you did. And that's why you come over here and you watch. You don't comment. You definitely not going to hit the like button because you don't like what we're saying. But for some reason, you can't stop watching them. And that just never made sense to me. I'm not going to watch somebody that I don't like. I'm not going to constantly watch somebody that I don't agree with hardly anything they say. I'm not going to watch. But you are. Isaiah 52 and 8. Thy watchmen shall lift up the voice. With the voice together shall they sing. That's how happy they're going to be. For they shall see eye to eye. When Yahweh shall bring again Zion. Not before. Not before. And that's something that we choose to remember. And that's why we don't fall out with each other when we don't agree on everything that somebody says. Because we remember Isaiah 52 and 8. And we also remember this. And we can also see deeper into Daniel 2 and 43. Listen again, y'all. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. That's the big part we want right there. Letting you know that there are things out there that have mingled themselves with the seed of men. The human family has been infiltrated by non-humans. Believe it or not. And it ain't just the ones who you think it is. I'm telling y'all, there are all kind of stories of all kind of Gentile nations, whether that's the so-called white man, the Edomites, whether that's the so-called Hamites, which many of you know as Africans today. There's so many stories of these Hamite nations. They got stories for days about what you would call sky gods coming down and procreating with their women. It's all over the place. It's right in the Old Testament, in the Torah and the Tanakh. But y'all choose to gloss over it. We're not going to gloss over it over here. We're not going to do that. We got Brother Jamron, the servant says, Shalom, just chimed in. I'ma say this. We cannot dismiss the power of the Most High. There are creations that we haven't seen yet. Our oppressors want us to dismiss information. Genesis 1 versus Genesis 2. Hey, Brother Zamron, the servant, Shalom to you, Ak. And what a very powerful observation and a very powerful truth right there. That many of our people, they're not ready for that. They can't stomach that. Why? Because their daddy, the Pope, told them not to. Don't read this, Ak. Don't read that, Ak. Everybody who has 2 arms and 2 legs, they are human, Ak. If they look human, they are human, Ak. There's no such thing as hybrid humans, Ak. There's no such thing as fallen watchers, Ak. Don't read the book of Enoch, Ak. In Genesis 6 and 4, that's not talking about fallen angels, Ak. That's not talking about watchers, Ak. Why? Because the Pope said so, Ak. Everything that we've learned about who the world calls God, or what we call the Bible, we've learned it through the lenses of blood-soaked eyeglasses through the Pope and his goons. All of us got to be retaught, all of us got to be relearned, and all of us, through the power and the spirit of the Most High God, we got the power to retrain ourselves, and we can do it. We're doing it. I got to read this comment again. Very powerful from Zamron the servant. Shalom to you, Ak. He says, Shalom, just chimed in. I'ma say this. We cannot dismiss the power of the Most High. There are creations that we haven't seen yet. And boy, oh boy, is he telling the truth. Our oppressors want us to dismiss information. Boy, is he saying another mouthful of truth. Genesis 1 versus Genesis 2. And boy, oh boy, you know what? We can drop the mic and walk off right now. We can drop the mic and walk off right now. Shout out to Zamron, the servant. Shout out to the whole GOZ family. Shout out to the 12 tribes of Israel scattered into all nations. We are waking up stronger by the minute, and we turn into our God faster than ever, which is causing the whole world to shut down, by the way. Okay? And Genesis 1 versus Genesis 2. Yes. That's something that most people are afraid of. And you know what they'll say? No, Ak, you're going off. Ak, you're creating your own doctrine, Ak. Because our oppressors does not want us seeing that. They don't want us acknowledging that. Because we got things on this earth that are not human. I don't care if they got 2 arms or 2 legs. Doesn't mean anything. Genesis 1 versus Genesis 2. Believe it or not, y'all, it's 2 different creations going on, y'all. It's not a summary or synopsis of the first generation, first creation, and just going deeper into it. No, it's 2 different creations. 2 different creations, y'all, believe it or not. And that's why we've been saying on this channel for a couple of weeks, couple of months, everything that we think we know, everything that we think we know and believe, we got to go back and double back and circle the block and look into it further. And if what we have been believing, whatever we all been believing, if it is true, real truth can stand up to being reviewed 1 zillion times. And if it's the truth, it's always going to stand. But what many of our people are afraid, why they're afraid to go back digging into what they think they already know, is because we already subconsciously know. Once we start going back with a fine-tooth comb, we're going to stumble across something that we didn't see, and it could potentially change everything, and that's what people are afraid of. People are like, no, I'm set in my ways. This is the truth. I can't learn nothing else. I don't want to learn nothing else. And so many of our people are not going to learn nothing else. They're going to be stuck right there. That's why many of our people are getting left in the dust. Especially when, see, the Most High knows who really wants to know the truth. When you really want to know the truth, you're going to be willing to go digging. And most of our people, they are terrified to go digging. On this channel, for at least the last 12 to 16 months, we've been nose diving into the rabbit hole of truth. We ain't walking down because we so far past the part in the rabbit hole of truth, it ain't no stairs and it ain't no rail. We just nose diving at this point into the rabbit hole of truth, and we are not afraid of what we find. And when we find lies there, we're going to expose it, no matter where it's at. We're going to expose it. And shout out to Zamron the servant. Sister SP says, I personally believe a Gentile are us Israelites who have gone away from the Father's ways, not any other the other people's groups on this planet. But I'm still here. To me, they are less than spittle. Hey, SPE. SP, I agree with you, SP. The other nations are less than spittle. And y'all may think that's SP's personal words. It's actually not. She's getting that out of the scriptures. It tells you that the other nations, they're like a drop of a bucket. Less than spittle. Nothing. Even less than nothing. Okay? Which is a hard pill for many people to swallow. Okay? We're not all created equal and we're not all the same. All of our books have been tampered with. There ain't a book that belongs to us that has not been tampered with, okay? All of our records been tampered with. The Torah, the Tanakh, the book of Enoch, the book of Esdras, Jubilees, Jasher. Every single thing on this earth has been tampered with. You know why? Because believe it or not, there are things on this earth that look like you and me, and they are not human. They mingled themselves with the seed of men. Daniel 2 and 43 is way deeper than what we think. The book of Enoch is way deeper than what we think. But most of y'all won't even read that because the Pope told you not to. You won't even read the book of Baruch, the book of Giants. You won't read none of that because the Pope told you not to. The same people who started most of these churches, there are lots of people in those positions who are not human. I don't care whether or not they look human. I don't care whether they look white, so-called white, or so-called black. If you only knew so many of those Hamite nations, you call them African, they're Hamites, not us. The Shemites have dark skin too, but we're not Ham. Lots of stories from Hamite people who say that quote unquote sky gods came down and interbred with their people. And it's been so much mixing. Not only do you have that amongst their culture, they spread this culture worldwide, whether people had dark skin or so-called white skin. It's if you only knew all of the mixing and mingling, y'all, among the earth. Daniel 2 and 43 lays it out, but we've been taught to gloss over it. That's why the Most High said when he comes, one of the things he's going to do to us, he's going to cleanse our blood. Because there are things in all of our blood, believe it or not. There are things that should not be there, even with the Israelites. There are things in our blood that shouldn't be there. That's why the Most High God says when he comes back, one of the things he's going to do, he's going to make our blood pure again. He's going to cleanse it of all the impurities. And I'm telling you, we got more impurities in our blood than you think. When you really sit down, have a long, hard look at Daniel 2 and 43, it's diabolical. And it's been going on for thousands of years. This thing was a thing way before Esau came into power. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. This thing was a thing way before Esau was in power. Remember now, the Hamites had us in slavery in hardcore bondage in the days of Egypt, y'all. This thing goes back way, y'all. This thing is something that goes back to before Adam and Eve in the garden. There was already something sinister in this place, y'all. But we've been taught to gloss over all of this, y'all. All of us. There's not a man or woman on this earth who actually fully understands what kind of rock we live on. The Most High knows that most people couldn't take it. That's why we don't know these things. But it's coming back. The knowledge is coming back. Zamron the server says, this is my type of lesson. I love this type of info. Shout out to Mr. Real Talk, y'all only. Hey, brother, shout out to you. Shout out to SP. Shout out to King David. Shout out to all the Hebrew Israelites worldwide. Wherever you are, shout out to you. If you can see this on the live or the playback, much love to you. I got much love to all the 12 tribes. No matter how you look, no matter what land you in, no matter what language you speak to. The time is not as long as we think, y'all. That's why all of this stuff is coming out. King David says, time vex, everyone. Time is ticking. Yes, it is, King David. And time vex to you, broski. And time vex to everybody else out there. Hit that like button, family. King David says, basically, here as belt before they go, just for the day we went off and they got to go. That's right, King David. Zamron the servant says, facts, way before Esau came into the picture. Yes, because I know some of us, the first thing our mind gonna run to, oh, Esau. Don't get me wrong, Esau is the devil that the Bible speaks of. Yes, he is. But what I'm talking about, yeah, is Esau a part of it? Yeah. But what I'm talking about is much, much older than Esau, been around way before Esau, when you had people with dark skin ruling the earth. In the days of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, all those people, those were so-called, they wasn't us because they ain't from Shem, okay? But those were Hamites. Hamites got a lot of melanin. So to a lot of people, they think that Hamites and Shemites are the same. They don't know the difference. They just see a nigga, and I get it, right? Just like some so-called white people would tell you, hey, we're different from the white people over here, and we're different from the white people over here. At one point, I didn't understand that, but there is some truth to that. Because not every, although the Edomites primarily set up base with the so-called Caucasian race, or the so-called white man, not every so-called white man is an Edomite. Y'all, this thing is so diabolical. That's why you got to learn to see Daniel chapter 2, verse 43. You got to learn to open up your mind and understand. Way before Esau came along. I'm talking way before. This thing was a thing. I'm talking back in the Garden of Eden. There was no such thing as an Edomite. But this thing was already going on in those days, y'all. This is something so old and so ancient, and it's also been hiding in plain sight. Hiding in plain sight. All these other nations, y'all, hiding in plain sight. Even the Israelite blood has been contaminated. Not my words. If the Israelite blood was not contaminated, there would be no reason for the Most High God to say when he comes, he's going to cleanse our blood. And that goes deeper than what we think too. Y'all, everything that we think goes much more deeper. There's levels to everything, y'all. And we're only beginning to scratch the surface on many things. But these things that we are beginning to scratch the surface on, most of our people are not going to be able to go with us because they're afraid to do deep sea diving. They're afraid to dive into the rabbit hole of truth because they're afraid of what they're going to find. And they know at some point when you nose diving into the rabbit hole of truth, you're going to find something that you didn't know before, and it's going to cause you to have to make a change. Many of our people, they're afraid of that. And see, on this channel, we're not even walking into the rabbit hole of truth. We're so deep into this thing now, it ain't even no more steps, no more rails. We're nose diving at this point. And we're not afraid of what we're going to find because we serve Yahweh only, and we're only in search of truth. And we're finding things too. And we're not afraid to recalibrate our steps. We're not afraid to go back and say, hey, we didn't see that at first. We're not afraid to go back and say, you know what? I glossed over that scripture my whole life. We're not afraid of that. We are not afraid to say, hey, there's more than one creation in the book of Genesis. We're not afraid of that. And it coincides. I got the Yahweh Bible, and it tells you that Satan is a woman. I want to say that was in Genesis chapter 2 or 3. Whenever the Most High shows up to rebuke the serpent, it tells you that that entity was Satan and that that serpent was a woman. And it also tells you that that serpent, that woman, had the ability to create life from the dust of the ground. Now, I'm telling you, when we first read that months ago, my jaw dropped. My jaw dropped. So if the serpent in the garden was a woman, And that woman had the power up until that point to create life out of the dust of the ground. But the Most High says, since you have did this, now I'm going to strip you of that power. The regular King James Bible and all these modern day Bibles don't read that way. It doesn't tell you that Satan was a woman, that that serpent was a woman, and it doesn't tell you that that serpent, up until that point, had the power to create life from the dust of the ground. When you understand that, then you really understand, okay, I see the two different creations in Genesis 1 and 2. And being this fact that these heathens, or these things that mixed with human beings, which are more than one kind of species that did that, y'all. This thing goes deep, y'all. They never wanted us to uncover that. Only the Most High knows what kind of creations that Satan, who was a woman, okay? Only the Most High knows what kind of creations that that serpent created. Only the Most High knows. But he put a stop to it, though, when he showed up in the garden. And it makes sense. There are all kind of things walking around this earth, y'all, masquerading as humans. Because they know you'll accept them that way. And there are other things on this earth you have never even seen before. You probably give up the ghost if you saw it. Beast, literal, I'm talking monsters. One of the offsprings that these watchers did when they came into women, they created monsters, y'all. I'm talking real life horror monsters. I'm not making this up. But see, if you never read the book of Enoch, the book of Giants, you're never going to know any of this stuff that we're talking about. You got to stop listening to the Pope. King David says, I remember years ago, an elder brought that out. It was pure evil in the realm, way before righteousness for Yah purpose. So I believe you second to bring it out. Wow, King David. Wow. All I can say is wow to that. I don't even have words. I don't even have words to express my feelings about that. Like how humbling that is, how deep that is, and how potentially petrifying that can be. See, once you really understand what kind of world we live in, which none of us fully understand, we're starting to, and the closer you get to understanding what kind of realm this is, the more potentially terrifying it could be. This world is nothing like what we thought it was, y'all. They lie about everything. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. If you're not afraid, because we're not afraid over here. SP says, we've definitely been contaminated and lots more to learn. Bring it out, SP. Bring it out, SP. King David says, like that show Samurai Jack, when Aku got kicked down, evil was super high before people came for millions of years of pure dark vibrations. Hey, King David, I never heard of Samurai Jack. You know what? You definitely gonna make me go check that out, though. I'm definitely gonna go check that out, King David. And it sounds about right, though. There were things here, y'all, and I'm really realizing now too, that Garden of Eden, that was a separate place where the Most High put his creation at, away from all of this other stuff. All this other stuff was already here, y'all. And we've yet to understand what kind of stuff was here before humans got here, y'all. SP says, I can only stay willing to learn and stay away from what the Father has brought me out of. All praises to the Most High, SP. And y'all, we all should take a note from Sister SP. Again, SP says, I can only stay willing to learn and stay away from what the Father has brought me out of. That's what we all should be striving to do, y'all. But unfortunately, some people, they get to a point where they say, nah, I've learned all the major stuff. There's nothing else major for me to learn. Family, there will always be something else major to learn. Look, I don't care if you make it to be 110 years old. If you're 110 years old, guess what? There's still a lot of major stuff for you to learn if you're willing. But we already know most people way before they get to 100 years old. Most people by the time they get to 25, 30 years old, they like, you know what? I got it all. I'm in the truth now, most high only. There's nothing else to learn. I'll just keep going over the stuff that I think I already know. There's nothing else to see here. There's no more deeper understanding. Family, as long as you're alive, there's always more. Always more. Zamron the servant says, imagine the movie Lord of the Rings, but all melanated people. That's how it was on the beginning. Hey, Zamron the servant, you hitting on something deep there. And all these movies, they be trying to show us, y'all. Zamron the servant says, yes, the Garden of Eden is a whole different portal. Yes. And look, now it makes sense, right? Once Cain slew Abel, now it makes sense. Why was Cain afraid to leave the Garden of Eden? He was afraid of something bringing harm to him. And now we know why he was afraid. It was a cruel realm out there outside of the Garden of Eden. Y'all see that? I'm telling y'all, most people will not be able to see the things that people like us can see because we're not afraid, family. Now look, when I read this, it's going to hit you different now. We're going to read Daniel chapter 4. We're going to read Daniel chapter 4, verse 30 to 37. Read with me, Hebrews, and write it down. Daniel chapter 4, verse 30 to verse 37. Anybody just coming in here just now, go all the way back to the beginning so you can hear what you missed. And so it'll make sense to you. You got to listen from the beginning, Hebrew. And once we understand that we got things in this world, because nobody fully understands what kind of world that we live in. But there are things on this earth that have jumped into the human blood pool, into the human gene pool, and they tried to force the mingling. But it's not going to work. They're not going to cleave one to another because it's unnatural. And that thing, Daniel 2 and 43 is so deep. You could do an 8-hour live stream on Daniel 2 and 43 alone. And once you understand that, that also goes together with the book of Enoch and the book of Giants. Daniel 2 and 43 lines right up with that. And it explains why Cain was afraid to leave the Garden of Eden. He knew something was out there. And it wasn't friendly either. He was terrified. King David says, funny you said 110. Because Tessa Yah showed me we supposed to live to 120, moving like we still young with good eyes and etc. But sin and our body mess up. Remember, Yah changed not, so it still should happen. Facts, King David. Facts. King David says, which is true, because Moses then was 400 plus. Moses then was 400 plus, moving better than us. Yeah, everybody back then was, no matter how old they was moving better than a nigga 60, 70, 80 years old. It's crazy. Listen to this, Hebrew. And I'm asking y'all the question. Was the first werewolf in the Bible? Look, I'm not asking you, are werewolves real? I know that they're real. I know for a fact vampires, werewolf, all of that stuff is real. Believe it or not, that's where they get those movies, the underworld, from. In fact, some of the people who produced that movie, I'm sure that they are vampires and werewolves. And I ain't talking about spiritually. I'm talking real life monsters. If you ever read the book of Enoch or the book of Giants, you know what I'm talking about. But since the Pope told you don't read this, don't read that, many of you are okay with doing that. I'm not, okay? And we watched the video over here one time where the dude was breaking down the book of Giants. and how afraid the Nephilim and the giants were. Because when the Most High sent his hitters, the angels, to come slay these giants, it wasn't no talk, it wasn't no loving kindness, it wasn't no redemption. Those giants were so afraid. That was the first time that those giants and those watchers had ever felt real fear, because they knew when the Most High sent his angels, they was going to get slaughtered. And they did get slaughtered. One of the giants, he knew what was getting ready to happen because he had a dream. He didn't even bother running. He just stood there and waited for the Most High to send his angels to snuff him out, because he knew he couldn't get away. That's how powerful the Most High's hitters are. When he sent his hitters to come and get you, there is no escape. Not for the Nephilim, not for the giants, not for the werewolves, not for these things that mingle themselves amongst the seed of men. I'm telling y'all, it's gruesome. Like I said, I'm not asking you, do werewolves exist? I know that they exist. You can call them wolf men, dog men. They got different names, lichens. Call them whatever the hell you want. I don't care. I know that they exist. I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you, is the first werewolf that we read about, is that in the Bible? And where am I getting that from? I'm going to show you right now. Daniel chapter 4, verse 30 through 33. That's where I'm getting it from. Daniel chapter 4, verse 30 to 33. Listen. The king spake and said, is not this great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power and for the honor of my majesty? This is King Nebuchadnezzar talking his trash, talking his smack, beating himself in the chest, saying, look what a powerful nigga I am. Look at all the riches I got. Look at how powerful my kingdom is. I did this. Verse 31. While the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven, saying, O King Nebuchadnezzar, to thee it is spoken. The kingdom is departed from thee. Verse 32. And this was a real live voice he heard. Verse 32. And they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beast of the field. They shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and 7 times shall pass over thee, until thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. You notice it said that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men. It didn't say nothing about Christ or JC or Yeshua being a ruler. You notice that? It said that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomever he will. Verse 33, the same hour was the thing fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar, and he was driven from men, and did eat grass as oxen. So listen to this. He was driven from among men. That means he was no longer allowed to live with human beings. But instead, and he did eat grass as oxen, like a cow or a bull or a goat, like an animal. And his body was wet with the dew of heaven. You know why? Because he wasn't living among men no more. Now you got to live with oxen, bulls, cows, sheeps, goats, and whatever other kind of beast is out there. See, you don't know every beast that's out there. Till, look at this. And his body was wet with the dew of heaven, like a dog, like a wolf, like a horse. Those are your dwelling places now. You're living with the animals. You're living as an animal. Look at this. Till his hairs were grown like eagle's feathers. Hold up now. Hold up now. This is not a caveman. This is not any kind of man. Have you ever seen any kind of human being? And this was a Hamite guy, okay? Babylonians come from Ham. That means he had melanin. Have you ever seen a so-called person with melanin grow his hair so long till it looked like eagle's feathers? You ain't never seen a human being. I don't care. A so-called Edomite, a so-called caveman, whatever. You ain't never seen a human being grow hairs like eagle's feathers? Are you kidding me? You've been glossing right over this your whole life. So now you got a melanated man till his hairs were grown like eagle's feathers. I want you to try to picture that if you can. Picture how long his hair is. And his nails like birds' claws. Hold up, y'all. Hold the hell up. I've seen human beings with very, very long fingernails. And I ain't talking about fingernail makeup extensions either. I've seen regular human beings with extremely long fingernails. Not once did I say his fingernails look like bird claws. Do you know how animalistic and barbaric birds' claws are? This says, and his nails like birds' claws. You're talking about a total physical transformation where you're living outdoors with animals. You're eating grass like an animal. You're wet all day, every day, like an animal. A melanated man whose hairs became like eagle's feathers. This ain't no caveman. This is not an Edomite who hasn't shaved in a couple of weeks. This is a melanated man who was wet with the dew of heaven, because now you live out there with goats, sheep, cows, wolves, alligators, bears. You're wet just like one of them. A melanated man now till his hairs were grown like eagle's feathers. You cannot even imagine what any kind of man looks like. White man, black man, Hispanic man, when your hair has grown as long as eagle's feathers. You ain't never seen nothing like that before. And his nails like birds' claws. Hey, look, I don't care how long you go without a manicure, pedicure, whatever they call it. Nigga, your nails are not gonna look like birds' claws. I've seen human beings with very, very, very long natural nails. And not once did I say, that nigga look like he growing bird claws. No, you talk, what we are reading about right here is a transformation. He got turned into a dog man. Werewolf, dog man. I don't care what you call it. This is not a man no more. Have you ever seen a man with fingernails like bird's claws? The only thing that got claws like a bird is a beast, an animal. Period. That's it, y'all. So why do I say it's the first werewolf in the Bible? Well, because of right here, Daniel chapter 4, verse 30 to 33. We're reading about a literal physical transformation. Now watch what happened when he humbled himself down, just like this prophecy told him to. Also letting you know things on this earth that are not human. Why was he even having this conversation? Because he had a dream. And in his dream, a watcher or some being came down from heaven and told him this in a dream. But he didn't know what it meant, so he went and got Daniel. Daniel had to do righteous divination to interpret the dream for the king. So anybody wants to say, oh no, no watchers. It was a watcher, okay, that came down from heaven and told him that, hey, he gave him this vision. A being from heaven came down. Maybe at another time we'll go into that. We're not going to go into that right now. The purpose of this video is to let you know there are things out here on this earth you ain't never seen, you couldn't possibly believe. But the king was troubled by that watcher that came to him in the dream, that angel, okay, that came to him, gave him that dream, but he didn't know what it meant because he's a heathen. He doesn't have the ability to interpret dreams. So he went to a Hebrew Israelite named Daniel, and Daniel let him know, Okay? He forgot. Daniel told him what that dream was, but he got so filled with his pride, he forgot, and then he started talking trash. So that's when the Most High had to show back up and bring that thing upon him, just like he said he was going to do. Because the watcher who came to him in the dream, he knew the heart of the king, and that's why he came. So when I ask you, is the first werewolf in the Bible the book of Daniel chapter 4 verse 30 to 33? That's where I'm getting it from. That's not a spiritual transformation. That was a physical transformation. He was no longer, he was driven from among men, because when you're a beast and an animal, you're not allowed to be among men. When you eat grass for your meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you're not allowed to live among men. When your skin grows, when your hair on your body grows like eagle's feathers, no, you're not allowed to be among human beings. And when your nails turn into bird claws, you think human beings want to be around you? They'll be terrified of you because you're not human. That's a physical transformation, y'all. Sounds like a werewolf to me, or a dog man. Call it whatever you want. Zamron the servant says, yes, the Garden of Eden is a whole different portal. Yeah, it was. Okay, we read that. King David says, your AR 100 rounds. 100 round, 100 round. That's all the young niggas like to rap about. 100 round this, 100 round that. Your AR 100 rounds ain't gonna do nothing, not even righteous divination. Because once he wants you BK'd, you're getting BK'd. Yah is the only source when it comes to pure power. All facts. Joshua the Levite says Shalom at Mr. Real Talk and Chat. Shalom to you, brother Joshua the Levite. Always good to see you. And shout out to the whole GOZ family out there in these streets. Always good to see you, brother. Jaron the servant says, oh my gosh, Nebuchadnezzar, this is great analogy. I never thought of this, but what is written is undeniable. Bro, you are on point. Hey, brother, all praises to the Most High God and Him alone. Hey, brother Zaramon the servant, I was just thinking like you. Oh my gosh, my whole life I've been glossing over all of this, because we all have been raised with blood-soaked glasses coming from the Pope. Don't read this, brother. Don't read that. Brother, this doesn't mean that, brother. This doesn't mean this. And that's why none of us could ever see this, because we've been viewing through the eyes and the glasses of the Pope. You notice it didn't say he had spiritual bird claws. It didn't say his spiritual hair grew like eagle claws. It didn't say he was eating spiritual grass. All of this stuff was physically. It didn't say he was spiritually driven from among men. No, he was physically driven out from among men, because you're an animal now. You a dog man. You're a beast. You're a real life werewolf. That's why your hair is as long as eagle's feathers. And notice this, y'all. I don't even care if this was a so-called white man, a caveman, Edomite. Even the Edomite have never had hair as long as an eagle's feathers. Hell no. And on top of that, that ain't even possible for an Edomite. This dude was not an Edomite. You're talking about a Hamite Babylonian whose hairs glow, a dark-skinned man whose hair grew long as eagle's feathers. And he grew his nails turned into bird's claws. Not spiritually, physically. If you would have been around Nebuchadnezzar in this shape, you would have gave up the ghost. He was unfit to be around a human in his transformational stage. He was a monster, a real life animal. Hey, y'all, I'm telling you, it would have scared the life out of you. Me too. Zaramon the servant says, Shalom, Joshua the Levite, GOZ in the building. That's right. Shout out to the whole GOZ fam out there on the West Coast, handling business, standing on business. Much love for all of y'all out there in the GOZ fam. Joshua the Levite says, as Jaron the servant, Shalom, Geo in the building. That's right. King David says, look like them creatures, them Egyptian worship, all them hybrids, which probably exist too. After this reading, weird things are out there. Yes, indeed, King David. And all of us have been taught to gloss over this, y'all. Look at all those joints. When you see those Egyptian joints and you see those paintings with a body of a man, head of a bird, body of a man, head of a dog. And there's other books out there written, y'all, that talks about certain towns where people had, the majority of the population had the body of a man, but from the neck up, it was like a dog or a wolf. And it coincides with the book of Enoch and the book of Giants, where all of the sexual deviant things that the fallen ones did, y'all. It was diabolical, y'all. And then when you remember Daniel chapter 2, again, I'll read this, Daniel chapter 2, verse 43. We glossed over this our whole life. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. That's the part we want right there. Letting you know, whatever this thing was, it wasn't human. And there's plenty of other things out there that is not human. They infiltrated the human gene pool, y'all. And that's why we such a mess right now. All those Egyptian hieroglyphs, those were not exaggerations. It was real. A body of a man, the head of a bird. If you only knew what some of these fallen ones did with the genetic splicing, they was doing it way back then. Way before the Old Testament was even written, you had evil entities, fallen ones walking around, mixing with women, mixing with animals, making humans mix with animals. That's why when you was a little kid, you saw those cartoons. From the waist down, it was a horse. From the waist up, it was a man or a woman. That stuff is real, y'all. I know it sounds crazy, but it's real. SP says, great lesson. All praises to the Most High. Joshua the Levite says, at King David, Tavex, I see your video yesterday, FJC. You know what? I didn't see that, but as soon as I get off of here, I'm going to go chill out for the rest of the day and start getting ready for captivity tomorrow, and I'm going to watch that video, King David. So when y'all watch movies like Underworld and you see these Vikings or Lycans, werewolves against vampires, I'm telling y'all, they're getting that stuff from real stuff. And some of those people who created that movie are actually the real deal monsters. Believe it or not. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. King David says, 100 at Joshua the Levite. Got tired of them with all that y'all only demon BS. All that we gonna serve idol shy. Be talking all that stuff, dissing y'all. Can't wait to box them physically and prove y'all win. And they pistol won't work on that day, them or the enemies. All facts, King David. And I hope and pray that somebody out there was edified by this live stream. He wasn't expecting to go live today, but the Most High put it on my spirit to do it, so I went with it. Also, from now on during the week, we know we usually go live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but because of what they're doing at my captivity and my slavery now, every week, and this is going to be going on from now until infinity, at least for a long time. Every week from now on, after I get out of my day slavery, I got more slavery to do in the evening into the night. So because of that, from henceforth, either we will cut the Monday stream, live stream, or we're going to cut the Wednesday stream, because I just won't physically be able to do it. I got too much slavery going on. So, and we'll play it ear by ear. Like last week, we cut the Wednesday stream because I just can't do them both. I just don't have the physical time. So from week to week from now on, either the Monday stream will get cut or the Wednesday stream will get cut. Right now, I'm not sure how to play out for tomorrow. If you don't see me go live tomorrow, I'll definitely hit y'all with an upload. But if we don't go live tomorrow, then we definitely will be going live on Wednesday. But if we do go live on tomorrow, then we definitely won't be going live on Wednesday. Not sure which one is how it's gonna work yet. From week to week, we'll play it by ear. Sometimes we'll probably switch it up from week to week. Just letting y'all know that. So if you don't see a live stream tomorrow, You know why? It's because of the slavery. And we'll pick up. The next live will be on Wednesday. If we miss tomorrow. Just want to keep y'all abreast with what's going on. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. I hope somebody was edified by this. And always know, just because somebody got 2 arms and 2 legs does not mean that they have anything to do with the human race. Okay? It's all kind of stuff on this earth, y'all. But it's slowly coming out. King David says, them leaders though, but I hope the members get out, them leaders doing it on purpose. And yeah, talking about the false leaders and false teachers of our people. I do believe a lot of them leaders know they're leading our people astray, but they're also making a big bag of money. They're getting paid from the government and they're getting paid from our people. So many of them, they're going to have to go as well. And like you said, I know some of them leaders know better. And I hope the members of places like IUIC, GMS, HOI, WFI, if you are a member of any one of those Hebrew Israelite blood drinking camps, you better run for the hills or you're going to get the same smoke that the other nations are going to get. And it's already starting. It's only one way out, fam. Turn to Yahweh and him alone or you're going to catch that smoke. Until next time, fam, Tab X. Joshua the Levite says, all praises to the Most High alone. That's right. And shout out to Joshua the Levite, King David, Sister SP, Zamron the servant, and everybody else that came through here, whether you commented or not. Much love, family. Catch y'all on the next one. I'm out.